Mathura is a non-profit organization that strives to promote peace, harmony, and spiritual growth among individuals. The Inner Peace Workshop is a step towards achieving this goal. The workshop will help you explore your inner self and discover the peace that lies within you. It is my privilege to introduce the facilitator for today's session, respected Sanjeev Kumarji, also known as Priyaji, who has been a meditation practitioner with over 40 years of experience and has been facilitating Satsang, guided meditation sessions in the DMV area and across US for the last 2 decades. This unique guided meditation practice was developed by his grandfather, Param Pujya Dr. Chaturbhuj Sahai also known as Guru Maharaj Ji. He believes that meditation is essential to reduce stress, anxiety, depression, and their harmful effects on both mind and the body. We believe that inner peace is essential for a fulfilling life, and we hope this workshop will help you find that peace within yourself. Please approach this workshop with an open mind, be receptive to new ideas and techniques, and participate actively in this session. If you have questions, please feel free to ask them during the Q&A session after the meditation. We wish you a rewarding and enriching experience during this workshop. Thank you for joining us today.
So first things first, basically, idea is that we transition into deep meditation So the question becomes like, we have been, involved in so many things. So how do we transition in? Um, that I think, so what I would like to say is that that is kind of um, either underestimated or not very well understood. So the way this, you know, uh, the meditation session is packaged together. So, Guru Maharaj, my grandfather, uh, you know, looked at what worked for him and basically pulled together something that will help, ease into a deep meditation. Um, Another thing that is unique about this process is it's not an activity-based meditation. So a lot of meditation, like even breathing, is an activity. Chanting is an activity. So kirtan, and there are lots of. So what my grandfather did was like everything you do in terms of activity around meditation is to concentrate yourself. That concentration then needs to lead to deep meditation. So he said, so why, you know, uh, kind of go around and get to the goal? He says, like, let's pull together something that will take us into deep meditation up front. Um, so he called this inner meditation. So rather than activity based meditation, this is inner meditation where uh, the focus is to concentrate and then get into deep, deep meditation. So that's number one. Number two, it's something that um, it it it's like almost like I was thinking about it, like it's like almost like no frills, because a lot of other meditation practices uh, talk about so the reason they are activity based is like that's easy to get into, but then you get so used to it that transitioning from there into deep meditation becomes a challenge. So here he said, like, let's figure out a way that you can transition into deep, deep meditation upfront. So now, how do you do that? So um, what we're trying to manifest is transcendental energy, right? Um, so it's instead of doing breathing or some mantras and all that, you are basically going to focus on uh, manifesting transcendental energy. So I was thinking about that too in terms of like, you can manifest lots and lots of things, even material things, right? Why go to transcendental energy? Um, so I did these workshops in India where we talked about worry and anxiety, right? So uh, worry and anxiety is the number one challenge, according to my grandfather, towards the goal of peace. So if we want peace, we have to get rid of worry and anxiety. So the question is like, how do you get rid of worry and anxiety? So everything that we're trying to do, our mind takes us either in the past or the future. And once that, uh, process of getting into the past or future goes a little out of control, which it sometimes does, then it turns into worry. And uh, and uh, and anxiety is kind of just a flip side of that. So so basically I talked about like uh, 4 points or 4 ways in which you can get rid or minimize worry there are four different ways. So number one, he says like, okay, figure out a way that you can, um, you know, take an alternate pathway or think about something else. So like if there is a fearful thought or there is a what if scenario that you're thinking about and that's worrying you, um, take an alternate path. So the easiest way to think about that is like you have a hobby, you have, sometimes like I have utilized it myself, like, I'm thinking about something and that's like consuming me. And I would just go and watch something on the TV, which, is uh, which I like a lot. So it kind of takes away the attention from what was worrying me, and it's like an escape, right? My father used to say that there is uh, almost, this is similar to creating uh, like a canal. So when on rivers, when you create dams, engineers create a canal so that the pressure of the water doesn't come heavily on the place where the dam has to be built. A canal takes the water away, the pressure away, and the water goes into that canal. And that is blocked later on once the dam is built. Um, so uh, so taking an alternate pathway is one way to tackle it. The other way to tackle it is that you create a equal and opposite thought process. So if a negative thought process is consuming you, you take a very, very, very positive thought process to replace it. And that uh, would, because I was getting worried because of some negative consequences that I'm thinking about. Uh, and instead, if I take a very positive thought, um, so all the belief systems are basically existing because of that. So what you do is instead of getting, caught up in the negative, you replace it with a positive narrative for yourself, right? And that's another way. The third way he says is that what if you figure out a way to bring yourself to the present moment? Because your mind, which is an amazing, capability or facility that you have, that is taking you in the past. That is taking you in the future. If you could train your mind to be in the present moment, then you're good, right? The worry exists because you are either in the past or the future. So if you train your mind to be in the present moment, that would be your solution. So interestingly, most of the meditative practices, activity based or inner meditation, all of them actually take you to a place where you are in the present moment. So, even if you think about breathing exercises or, um, mindfulness, what it does is like you are uh, basically observing your breathing, inhale, exhale, and as you observe, what happens is that whatever you were thinking, now you're, instead you are observing your breathing, and in that process you come to the present moment. So what I found, uh, you know, is like mindfulness brings you to the present moment very, very quickly. So that is why I think it is becoming so much popular, right? But now, Maharishi Patanjali, who, um, you know, uh, talked about the 8 limbs of yoga. Interestingly, a lot of people think of yoga as physical exercises and breathing exercises, but the 8 limbs, 4 of the 8 limbs are meditation based, meditative practices based. So if we look at those aspects, what Maharishi Patanjali talked about was that um, his definition of yoga was yogaschit vritti nirodha. So basically, when you stop the thought processes to evolve even in your subconscious mind. So, I mean, we can't even focus. Uh, I think, is there someone? Um, so even if you cannot control your conscious mind, but what he says is not only control your conscious mind, but when after that, when you stop the thought process to evolve within your subconscious mind, that is what he called the state of yoga. But so I have my grandfather's book that is like 7 volumes, 28 chapters, and uh, so he talks about this concept of peace, and in this chapter he talks about all these points that we just discussed. Um, he's so while describing this yoga definition, what he says is that if there is no thought, basically your mind cannot go to the past or future. So not only you are uh, in the present moment, you are also, um, you know, it's like there is no way you can be worried because there is no, uh, you know, the process of going to the past or future is now not, you have eliminated that just by doing, uh, you know, this process through which you become thoughtless, right? So now all these four things are ingrained in the process that we will practice now. So uh, basically, when you manifest transcendental energy, you are think about like the cosmic energy, right? The most positive, the anything that you can think of, this would be the way so because we cannot fathom transcendental energy or cosmic energy, I just like to think about like, okay, sun, which is 93 million miles, is responsible for all the life on Earth. So just imagine that in the cosmos you have millions of suns, right? In the galaxies, and imagine that enormity and the energy. Uh, and if that was what we were trying to manifest, um, that is so basically not only we are distracting our mind, we are thinking about the most positive things. So all the negatives that can drown us, we are going away from. Um, Bringing to the present moment as well as coming to the thoughtlessness, all that is also incorporated in this process, right? So that's what we will practice. All right. Um, Initially, it looks a little difficult, but if we are able to, practice this, and Luz can tell you, basically, once you get a little used to it, it is not that hard. Um, what I find is that there are days when you have better sessions, and then days when you are not able to concentrate. Um, Persevering through it is the key. And the um, the group sessions, in my view, I always, it's not just because, we want people to come in the group. I personally think my meditative practice was, I think, fueled and driven by group sessions. And especially in India, when thousands of people sit together, the energy level is just phenomenal. Even, I was just talking about like when in July I do the annual session, there are like 100, 150 people. That itself is enormous. So think about like thousands of people. It's just, beyond description. Um, so the way Maharishi Patanjali described it is that 8 limbs, 2 are like physical exercises, breathing exercises. Then there is 2 aspects of behavior, what behaviors you should acquire and what behaviors you should leave. So those are the foundational elements. The meditative elements are inward orientation. So peace is inside, so look inwards, right? So we'll practice that. Then second is concentration. So what should you concentrate on? What should you manifest? What is your object of concentration? That is where so that's like a prep step to meditation, right? What do you want to manifest? So transcendental energy, right? In form of light. So we basically will think about transcendental energy is around us, in front of us in form of light. It's entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we are becoming one with this light. So basically, we are becoming the energy, right? So that's the second element, meditative element in the 8 limbs. And then the third one is the meditation itself. But what he describes as meditation, Maharishi Patanjali in his Yoga Sutra, he says a place where there is no thought, a place where there is you kind of forget who you are, where you are. So all that, like the whole process of, because all that is our thinking. So once you stop that, that's the deep meditation he's talking about. And then the 8th element is the higher consciousness. So that is the resultant. So if you practice inward orientation and then you concentrate on your object of concentration, that leads to deep meditation, which then results into higher consciousness, or what he calls samadhi, right? So let's practice, and then we'll talk a little bit about, the nuances. All right. So number 1, sit in a relaxed posture where, every time the body moves, that bodily movement distracts our mind, right? Eyes lightly closed, because for the same reason, the sensory input distracts our mind. So eyes lightly closed, and then observe your body, that there is no strain anywhere. You're completely relaxed and in a posture that you can sit still for next 15-20 minutes. Now, once you have done that, now think about the transcendental energy in form of light is in front of you. So it's right here, right now, in front of you. And that light is entering your heart. So it's enlightening your heart. Your heart is getting filled up with this enormously positive and uplifting energy. And then from there, it's going and traveling over to every nook and corner of your body. So transcendental energy in form of light is in front of you. It's entering your heart, distributing throughout your body. And now you're becoming one with this light. You're getting completely immersed in this light. Now, what will happen is that naturally your mind will wander away. Every time you find that your mind has wandered away somewhere else, you bring it back. And you bring it back to this thought and this thought alone. The only thought that you want to keep for next 15, 20 minutes is that you are in the presence of transcendental energy in form of light, and that light is entering your heart, distributing throughout your body, and you're becoming one with this light. We'll transition in with music, and then we'll transition out with music. Then in the middle, the music will fade away, and we will be meditating completely in silence. So let's start now. So was it different in person? Yeah, it depends on what was going on in the during the day and where we are. Um, yeah, and I was thinking, it is a very, very unique approach because I met so many people who follow so many different things, and um, what I've found here is simple focus on the goal, and the goal being um, the target state. And this, it was kind of that light, love, and peace. Um, and then, the more I talked about it, like suddenly I found what light, love, and peace really mean. Because uh, light being knowledge, and the knowledge that is within. Um, so, what's that knowledge? So, first, knowledge appears. And, you know, in one podcast and in one YouTube video, um, in California, there is this redwood trees, right? They are so, like, they can be 300 feet, like very long, tall, and they're so wide that sometimes like 40 people, adult people, have, if they, circle around, then they will cover that tree. Um, some of these are hundreds of years old. Some can be, like they say that they can be even thousands of years old. And redwood trees have been there for millions of years. Um, Interesting thing about them, like the reason they live so much longer is um, that their roots don't go deep, and they actually go sideways, and then uh, each of these trees, their roots like wind together, and after some time, these lots and lots of these trees are like the roots are just uh, you know uh, just intertwined, and because of that, like a lot of the storms and other extreme weather conditions, they are able to uh, sustain. So personally, I think that, and based on like some of the, see, I was about to say that in Hindi, there is like so much more content, so much books and journal, but in English, there is very limited. And in DC area, there is like a whole monthly session, the traditional session that happens. I'm not even inviting them. I'm committed to a pure English, uh, and trying to build that content around it, the YouTube videos and all that. Um, so the light, that knowledge is to realize that we are intertwined with nature, with within ourselves, with other conscious beings. That once that knowledge comes, so that's light. Um, Once you realize that, then the love appears, right? Because when you are so interdependent, when you're so, you are not like, so physically, the trees are individuals, but they live in such a intertwined way. Once you realize that, that is the definition of then unconditional love that then appears. So light, then love. So based on that knowledge that we are all conscious beings, and that there is a connection and there is an interdependence and so on, so on, so on, then the love appears. So everybody that I felt like, all the leaders in satsang, you know, the next generation after my grandfather, and even his guru, all of them, like, no frills, nobody called each other like guru or this or that. It was just pure love, right? And that unconditional giving and unconditional love, then I think so that's next stage. And then the final frontier is like when um, you get through that, it's that peace appears. So love, light, and peace is like it's a technical term. Yeah. So, so Casey, how was your session?
Rough. I did a lot today, so I'm sleepy already, and my head kept bombing, not gonna lie. But in between that, I also had a hard time quieting my mind. Like I was telling you before, it's I'm kind of trying to move back into my meditation routine. It's been a while since I have, so.
Yeah, easier said than done. Yeah, it's but believe me, I think what I so one, I think what helped me was the group sessions, right? Even if you're, you know, quote unquote, you think you're struggling, uh, I can tell you the quietness I feel here is not very common in our normal day to day, right? It's not. And the more you practice this, the more it converts inside, right? It's like that quiet that we feel outside is the quiet that comes inside. Um, and it's enormously uh, effective once that gets in there. Um, you know, regulates your uh, BP, and you know, if you're not worried and anxious, then a lot of other uh, things. So your entire physical, mental, spiritual, you know, transformation happens through this. So it's just a matter of, you know, staying at it. So how about you? Interesting.
With the music, I felt like my brain was just kind of like, I wasn't thinking of anything. Just felt like it was like, it felt like my brain was like moving or something. Something was going on up there. And then when the music went off, I kind of, to stay in the present, I kind of tried to think about what was going on inside, like what I was feeling. Couldn't feel the sleeves on my arms, which was weird. And,
Say that again. So
I
what?
couldn't feel the sleeves on my arms.
Wow.
Think about what I had on, and it felt like my fingers were lifting off my thighs. So that's why I say it was interesting. I had all these different feelings. I wasn't like thinking about anything in particular.
See, I somehow I always find that um, you know, even people who are meditating for the first time, like some of the experiences I hear, is like uh, it's almost um, I could even say like some fairly advanced meditative stages could be described, but it's like what happens is that you feel something which is good, but then sustaining that is the whole thing, right? Once you can sustain a deep meditative practice, so like few things you felt, I would call them good, but then if you can sustain those good things, then it becomes a real rewarding meditative practice. So that's that's the key. And see, typically, if you were tired, your brain tries to shut down. But, you know, interestingly, even some of the new neuro research um, found that even when we are resting, our brain is not. And meditation is one of the ways in which you give your brain a rest. Like music, actually, when you play music, uh, that is because you concentrate, so mind is not going all over the place. That actually is very mentally rewarding activity. Similarly, meditation has. So the more you meditate, the more actually you're giving rest to your brain. So over the long term, you will see benefits which otherwise wouldn't show up. So anything online, Shivangi? So any other questions? Any thoughts? Does does the process? Did you understand the process that you can practice? Yeah, maybe.
So,
In my head, I felt like it was like this, but I didn't move, but I definitely felt the same thing.
I've heard before, meditation helps you to also get in touch with your body and to see what it's really feeling. Sometimes when you're in a zone during the day, you're doing all these things, you don't realize that you are tired. Meditation helps you get in touch with what am I feeling? What do I need? I mean, I heard that. That's my very first time I meditated. That is how I describe it. I said it's like I met my body for the first time.
Say that again. So, what did you feel?
The very first time I meditated when we got done, that's how I described my experience. It was like I met my body for the first time.
Wow.
I was so disconnected.
See, I also feel so there is this uh, almost like connection with the body or um, you know, I mean the entire system gets a break almost. But then if you look at the psychological or the mental side of it, I feel I don't know, at least I feel that it's like, when you see the mirror, so then you see, uh, you know, some things are okay or something is not okay, right? So it's like almost in terms of my behavior, in terms of my thinking, meditation kind of shows me the mirror. When you practice meditation, you suddenly start realizing what is going right and what is not going so right. So it just so can I see it here? So Sarah, okay.
Hi, everyone.
Oh yeah, I can kind of hear you now. Let me see if I can increase the volume. So can you pick up the mic? Yes, Sarah, try now.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you. I wanted to come down, but I just couldn't make it today. So hopefully for the next one.
Sure.
So thank you. It felt similar to me to be meditating in the Zoom space. So I don't know how many people are there, but I still felt your energy. The interesting thing that I've noticed the past couple of times is people talk about dropping into the body. And I have felt this pull down sort of into my pelvis and legs or my abdomen, like a pull, almost like being in the ocean and there's a tide, like the not a rip tide, but that pulls you down. And so I felt that, and I felt very, very peaceful. And then at a certain point, I felt it pop me back up. It was almost like, I mean, I don't eat meat now, but like when the turkey thing pops up, it's like done. So I just felt like I'm done. So I don't know. I'm just curious if that's something that people talk about experiencing. It was almost like the meditation told me I was done. And then I tried to sit there, and I noticed and I witnessed, but I was no longer in an energetic, embodied state. So, I mean, I don't know if I popped myself back up because I didn't want to encounter something. I'm not sure, but yeah.
So, couple of things. So, number one, while to break the ice and to discuss, it uh, sharing and all that, it's all good, right? But personally, I think that individually we should not get stuck into this is a good meditation or this is not so good. The reason is that as we grow, let's say, we go through the teenage and then the adulthood, and then there are other stages. Similarly, your meditative practice grows. And, this is a very, very, very simple method. But the reason, so one of the things that I have read over and over is like what you are trying to manifest matters. So here we have taken like a really high road. It's transcendental energy, which we might be able to think about it, but really we cannot fathom. So it's like a goal that we need to get to. Now, what will happen is that there are not just good and bad days, then there are days when so I can, my father used to, he actually talked about this pretty elaborately, is you close your eyes, right? So especially, like you talked about like the first time you meditate and it's like, wow, right? And sometimes you close your eyes and it's almost dark and there's nothing happening. It's, then there are a third stage. So one is a good, positive, um, very energizing, refreshing, feeling good type of meditation. Then there are, the flip side, when you close your eyes, it's dark, nothing happening. You're almost like, uh, instead of uplifted, you feel like lethargic and all that. And then there is this third thing where you close your eyes and it's like a movie. Things that you have seen, things that you have uh, heard, and even things that you have not seen and haven't heard kind of just, go through in front of your eyes. So my father said that, these three stages kind of, um, depending, sometimes come over and over, sometimes they stay for some time. So you're, it's not like this one is good and this one is not so good. It's like these are meditative states, and you have to kind of go through each one of these to get to even higher state or deeper state. Um, so, so it's like you have to go through these. Um, so that's why, you know, I mean, meditation a lot of times would be very positive, very uplifting, but that is not what we should get stuck with, right? So similarly, you know, I mean, ideally, you should feel lighter. Your body sometimes like feels like it's lifting up, etc. But then again, don't get tied to any one particular uh, definition or state, because it's a journey. You need to come through different stations to get to the destination. So hopefully, Sarah, that helps a bit. But you know, um, he, my grandfather described lots and lots of different things, and then said, "What I would advise is just practice, practice, practice. Doesn't matter if it worked one day or not the other day, or what you went through. All good, but let's just keep going." And you know, so I think somewhere he described that, say, if you were to feel exactly the same, then where is the growth, right? So you have to go through, it's so it's not like a straight line. You have to go through ups and downs to get to that. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. It's so true. That I did need to hear that. To that end, can I ask, is it possible to post this music on YouTube? Because I am sitting by myself, but I think in terms of just the consistency, if because I think I went to your channel and I wasn't able to find it. It's so silly, but the music, there's something, I feel like for the ritual of it, I associate it with being with all of you. So that's just a request, if it's possible. If it's not, that's okay.
Did we post one of these daily meditations in a playlist?
Yeah, we did. Just sharing the link in the chat now.
So maybe if you can put a link there, let's pull together bunch of these, right? We'll call them daily meditations, and put as a playlist on the YouTube channel. So, so Shivangi, I think let's share the YouTube channel and that playlist. So that way you can just, you know, go. So what we have done is, you know, a little bit of a discussion, and then the whole meditation. So all together in a playlist, and you can, if you don't have time, just you know, get to the meditation piece and just do it. Yeah. Because,
thank you so much. Okay, that would be great.
Yeah. So we have Himanshu has put that in the chat. Yeah, but we'll create a playlist there. So Karen, anything on your end? All right, so what else?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to unmute. Uh, I have been attending several of your sessions. Your most recent one in London, India, and the sessions prior to that since about February. Sometimes I feel like I am a block. That it's just not getting through. Similar to Sarah, after the music has played and I've transitioned in, I can see the light with my eyes closed. And I can almost feel that sense of weightlessness. And then it's gone. And I can't seem to get it back. I'm not making the whole 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me, and I, just trying to be candid, not to say what is good or bad. It's just think of it when you start meditation. Think of like, if we had a glass of wine, right, and it was really, really, nice, but if your glass is very small, right, the capacity is small, right? So only that much can come, only that much you can pour into it. So I think either I have recorded one or I'm planning to record a video talks about capacity. So it's like almost like receiving capacity, right? It's day one. We might not have as much capacity to absorb the positive energy that I feel positive all through the day, right? So initially, it might just be a few moments that I feel uplifted, refreshed, positive. Then it might grow and it might become that 15, 20 minutes. But then it might grow and it might be a few hours after my meditation, I'm still going strong, right? Negative people, negative energy, negative circumstances, negative situations don't affect me as much as before. That might happen pretty quickly, but the ability to stay completely positive will slowly, so the capacity will build, but not necessarily day one. So I think what Sarah and Karen are talking about is, yeah, we see that it's, it's, the you see the light or you see the weightlessness, etc., but only for that much. So to me, it's all good. It's all really, really good. Now the question is why everyone talks about practice, practice, practice. I mean, it's like a musician, right? The more you practice, the more you practice, but with good guidance, right? That will that will get you where you need to be. So actually, Yeah, another day. I think I've talked about this, but building the capacity, there are like three stages that my father actually talked about. Was fascinating. And now that we are at it, it's briefly is like the first stage is he said like, okay, so let's say there is a cold body of water, right? And when you take a dip, you feel so cool. And so he said that initially your inside, so you're meditating and your heart, your inside is like a stone. When the sun is on, like, when you interact with people and negative energies and so on and so forth, uh, you're like stone. You come to meditation, it's like the stone is in the cold water. As soon as you come out, the stone in the sun would heat up very quickly, right? So that's stage one. Uh, so it's like a stone, it's heated up in the sun, you put in the cold water, it, cools down, but as soon as it's back to square one. So that's your stage one. Stage two, your inside becomes like a cotton ball. You put in the cold water, soaks it up, get back in the sun. It takes a while for it to like heat it up again. And the third one was like when your inside becomes like a salt. So salt is in the sun, you put it in the water, it takes the shape of the water, and boom, gone. Right? So that is the state of yoga or satsang when um, you from limited to unlimited, from you take the identity of the energy rather than yourself. So the capacity is limited in stage one, a little more in stage two, and three is like you and the infinite is the same.
You're absolutely right. And
Karen, can you put it up?
can you hear me?
Yeah.
You are so right. One of your sessions, in speaking about the need to practice, you you tied it into the time we take every day to sleep, to bathe, to eat, and I need to be just as I guess regimented in somehow finding that time to also practice my meditation. I know you're right with that. It's just I have to I have to get it done.
So yeah, you reminded me of one of those sessions when I think I was also talking about we know like I think someone very young, he was talking about like meditation feels like I'm doing nothing. It's like waste of time. So I then said, hey, what about sleep? 1/3 of your life, literally, is like you're sleeping, but think about not sleeping a couple of days, and then you'll realize how important that is, right? And so I think we realize that, and the other example is like we realize that taking a shower is important, right? Because if you don't, it will, uh, lead to disease and stuff like that, right? But what we don't realize is that you need to clean the inner self as well. And that is what meditation does. So once we realize that that's equally or more important, then practice doesn't sound that, it needs to be, yeah, exactly like what Karen is saying, sleep is like a example, or even the cleansing of, the body is one part, but what about the mental body? It's equally important or more important. Awesome. So I typically, if Eddie is there, I ask him to provide the wrap up. So maybe Liz can give us.
I don't remember what the wrap-up is.
I think you
I
can.
was just gonna say,
You can take this.
I really just to recap, I guess, a meditation will go through different stages, and even just like a minute of dropping into the body, or feeling, seeing the light, or just even just that 1 minute or 5 minutes is super beneficial. But it's not always going to be like that necessarily. As Sanjay pointed out, there are different phases. One session you might be dropping into the body for the whole thing, part of it. It's just part of the journey. Just what matters is to do it consistently, and in this way, we will build capacity. But again, even if it's just like, I think it's beneficial. It's just we're fine. To just be present. So, and it was great to meditate with you all. Oh God.
Yeah.
Thank you all for.
No, I definitely feel that, this is as simple as it gets, but I have personally seen that it is effective to get to that love, light, and peace. And I mean, it's definitely something to kind of build a practice around and integrate. The more you integrate into your, routine, the better it is. And practice, even if it is like a consistent 10, 15 minutes, it's a good thing. Awesome. Thank you. All right, folks, so we'll sign off from here then.
Good night, everyone. Take care.
Good night.